How to get approved for a business line of credit. This is so important for anyone that has a business because every business needs money, and I'm going to tell you how to make sure that you have the money that you need for your business. Let's go. I'm going to tell you the number one thing to get approved, and it's probably not what you think. I'm going to give you the who, when, how of business credit approval. And I'm going to give you some secret tips on how to get more money on your line of credit faster. So the first thing that you want to do when getting approved for a business line of credit is you must have a business checking account in most cases, okay? Not in every single case, but probably 95% of the time, you should get a business checking account, okay? So let me quickly tell you about, big banks versus small banks, because a lot of the banks where you have your business checking account, they will give you a business line of credit, okay? In fact, I used to bank with Wells Fargo, okay? I was an entrepreneur and I actually made a lot of money in my business, but probably not a lot of money for Wells Fargo, if you get what I mean. They have big companies that make hundreds of millions of dollars per year as their client. They have money from everywhere, Microsoft and Apple and presidents and all these people give money or have accounts with Wells Fargo. So if you have a business, even if it makes, $500,000 a year, that's like nothing to them. So they're not offering or tripping over anybody to give you a line of credit. But a few months ago, probably a few years ago, I literally switched banks. I still have Wells Fargo and I still deal with them, and they are very good for a lot of things, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about you starting out, people that are a little bit newer to their business. I found that mid-sized banks were a lot more friendly to entrepreneurs and were giving out a hell of a lot more money than Bank of America ever even offered to me, okay? So I basically started and got another checking account with the Regions Bank, okay? REGIONS Bank. And I actually recommend them very well. They, if you want any help, they're not in every state though, okay? So if you want to find a Regions Bank, they are a great bank for small businesses, especially for women businesses or minority-owned businesses. They have a lot of programs. That's just a bank that I know. However, they're not the only bank. You really want to stay away from the big banks like the Wells Fargos and the Bank of Americas and blah, 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 unless you have really good credit. If you do, go ahead, get with them, and they will also give you a business credit card. Bank of America, especially if you have good credit, they will give you some business credit cards and some business lines of credit. Now, that's top-notch credit. But even if you don't have top-notch credit, some of the mid-sized banks, your BB&Ts, your Regions, your PNCs, your BBVA, I could go on and on. But again, not the big banks, not the big four, but that next tier right under it, they are a lot more friendly and they are giving out business lines of credit because they have the money to give, okay? They have the money to give and they need to lend that money out for their own bank's liquidity. So you want to start with those banks, get a business checking account with them, and then ask your banker if they have business credit cards and business lines of credit for you. That's one way. So another way to get approved for a business line of credit is you want to go to the bank, okay? You want to establish a relationship with a person. So one of the things and why I transferred from the Wells, I shouldn't say transferred, but also got a relationship established with Regions Bank is because they had an awesome banker. She was amazing. She told me all about different programs they had, and she even told me what I needed to do to get more money, okay? So you want to go into the bank, ask to speak to one of the business bankers and start that relationship, start having a conversation with them. And I'm going to tell you why, because you're thinking, oh man, I don't want to go there. They're going to embarrass me, or I got this going on. But no, nothing is better than being face to face with someone and kind of just telling them what your situation is and what you're trying to do. There are so many unadvertised programs at banks, okay? There are a ton. Let me say that again. There are a ton of unadvertised loans and things like that and programs at banks. If you are a woman, if you are a minority, if you are a veteran, if you are a blah, 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 I'm telling you, I'm not, unless you're like a rich old white man, Pretty much everybody else, they have all of these unadvertised programs, okay? So you want to go in there and talk to them because, again, they're unadvertised. They did not put them on TV. They're not out there for you. So you must go and talk to someone and start developing that relationship and having the conversation and asking, hey, how do I get a business line of credit? And I promise you, they will tell you. Now, before you go, one of the things that you want to know and have established and think about is, what are you going to do with the funds? You want a business line of credit. Okay, why? What are you going to do with the money? What are your plans? What are you going to spend it on? You just want it because you want it? Now, again, in many cases, I've already told you that when you're trying to transition from maybe working for someone else to becoming self-employed, a lot of times I will tell you, go get a business line of credit so that you have that money and you're going to use it as reserve so that when you quit your job, you have that money kind of there. It's a little bit of a comfort for you. But you're not going to tell that to the bank. I'm sorry, that's not the answer. Like, oh, I was watching this YouTube and this smart lady named Noelle Randall told me I want to quit my job and get this line of credit. Yeah, no, that was for your ears only. Please do not go to the bank and say that. You want to tell them a viable reason for what you are going to use with the business line of credit. And some of those things are going to be things like hiring new employees, business expansion, buying inventory, spending it on marketing, buying a building, leasing a building, buying equipment, buying computers. What are you doing for the business? What are you going to spend the money on? You need to have that answer fully thought out before you ever go to them, because you don't want to answer that incorrectly. And I actually just gave you, I literally just gave you the answer of what you want to tell them and some things that you want to say, but you want to make it true for your business. So kind of listen back. If you need to repeat this whole video again, go ahead and do so. But business expansion, buying inventory, payroll, buying new computers, buying new equipment, those type of things. Not paying any credit cards, not paying down your mortgage, not fixing your credit, not as a safety net, not as reserves. The last thing they want to hear is that you're just going to take the line of credit and not use it. That's almost as bad as telling them that you're going to use it to pay off your personal debt. Like, do not say that. Do not tell them that you don't plan on using it yet. Like, these are like really bad answers that students have told me, that they had said before they met me. So never, ever, ever say those type of things, okay? You may think them, you may have that in your plan, but that is not what the banks, the lenders are looking to hear. They want to hear that you are getting a line of credit because you need to expand your business and you are going to use that money for said expansion. The end. And then keep it simple. There are two companies that are lending money like crazy. That's Bluevine, BLUEVINE, and Cabbage with a K. If you're looking for a business line of credit, those are two that I know that are doing it really quickly. Check them out. If you need a co-signer, get one. Okay, there are tons of people that are actually willing to help and co-sign on business loans because you can give them a portion of your business. Okay, this is a little bit different. If you ask someone to co-sign for you on your car loan, what are you going to give them in exchange? You might give them some money, but in most cases, it's usually just a family member and it's a favor. But if you are asking for a co-signer for a business line of credit or for a business loan, one of the things that you could easily do, and how a lot of my students easily find business partners and investors and people with good credit to put onto their business, is by offering them equity in their business, okay? And again, you can offer them equity, 10% of your business, 20% of your business, in return for them doing this for you, okay? And again, you can get that off later. So say, for example, you're like, I don't want to give away 20% of my business. That is something that you could do for a year or 2 years or whatever, or you can do it for collateral. But this is something that you can offer people that is of value to them and something people want. And you'd be very surprised at how many people are interested in investing in your business, not just co-signing for you or helping you. If you actually give them an offer where you're telling them how they can make money with your business, you'll find a lot of people that are willing to do it. I want you to go to noellsfreetraining.com. noellsfreetraining.com. I have a full course training that I have made directly for you, especially for you, to help you with this type of stuff so that you can learn how to start a business, how you can do this. It's a full training. It's a little bit too long for YouTube, but I have a full training out there available for you. Please go ahead and check it out and get yourself educated so that you can be successful. Come on.